I'm the Commissar. We're watching Forged Alliance Forever, and you might like to have a holiday on a tropical island. Unfortunately for you, 12 of our commanders today have had the same idea, and they're not going to give up their favourite beach spots without a fight. Let's see who's going to get their towel in the prime position in the sun. Today, it seems like we've gone to the beach, or at least to a nice sun-spattered stretch of islands. Unfortunately for our Caribbean holiday, we've got 2 teams of 6 players who are going to be having a little war over this archipelago. We have the North team in the north, we have the South team in the south. Let's start by meeting the North team. Up here, at the top end of their line, we have Rasco 400, who's 1511 rated, and Seraphim in Fecal Brown. To his south, this fellow is RedhairyLlama, who is 1142 rated in UEF in Grass Green. Moving along their front line, this is signalrunner, who is 1402 rated in Cybran in red. And bringing up the bottom end, we have North Team's highest rated player. This is BannableOffence, who is 2144 rated and Eon, and he's in dark green. And running along their rearguard position, this fellow we saw last week. This is OriginalAngel, who is 1356 rated and UEF in lime green, and in what I imagine is going to turn out to be the air position at the back here. This is RyGuys, who is 1375 rated and Cybran. He's in orange. Let's meet their mirrors. On the South team, starting at the top, this is TwitchyMofo, who is 1543 rated, and he's Seraphim. He's in yellow. Moving along the front line, we have Jai Spartan 006. I'm going to guess that's a Halo reference, although I haven't actually played any Halo since Combat Evolved. Spartan is 1065 rated, and Cybran, he is in burgundy. Next up, and already walking forward, looks like he plans to set up a naval factory, we have JohnnnyJrrr, with several extra N's and R's. We're going to call him Johnny today, and he is 1257 rated and Eon, and he's in baby blue. And in an appropriately mirrored position here is South Team's highest rated player. This is you, 2209 rated. He is Seraphim in dark blue. Already in the water and setting up a naval factory, we can see him down at the bottom there. This is Hyper 2001, who is 1191 rated in Cybran. He's in light green. Oh, the other guy was light green. This is grass green. Whatever green, I don't mind. And last but not least, in the air slot, we have Weckethr, 1556 rated, and Eon, he's in baby pink. Now the map. The map doesn't have much reclaim on it, so players are really going to have to contest the mexes. These mexes underwater can be contested, and it looks like Spartan is already on his way out there. These mexes on the top island, which has Rasco already on his way out, and these 8 mexes and a few water mexes on the bottom island, and we've got a drop already out from you. But while that's happening, we've got a very aggressive drop right out from signalrunner, which is going to land right in the middle of Johnny's base, and I love this idea. Rasco going to be uncontested for this island, and you is planning to drop both the little mexes in the water and the island. But let's have a look at Signal's drop as he comes in. Now, he isn't going to be in a great deal of luck because Johnny's comm is in the area. But 6 NGs is a lot, and he's immediately throwing up point defense. But Johnny has opened fire on him right away. 2 NGs down, 3 NGs down, 4 NGs down, but the point defense goes up. 5 NGs down, And all that went up was the point defense in one war. But, I mean, the point defense looks like it's going to take out a T2 mech before it dies, which is very nice work. And now we've got quite a lot of things to watch all at once. On the South Island, Yu has got up his factory first and is working on a second, but Bannabel, who hasn't finished his first factory yet, has brought a bomber, and that might make all the difference. The bomber comes in and it takes out both of the engineers building Yu's factory, which means he's going to have to recall some of these if he wants to finish it off. And meanwhile, not only has Bannabel got up his first factory, but Angel has also joined him in the fight against Yu, and is putting up factories of his own. However, Yu has reacted, he's finishing this factory, and he's going to also put up a point defense, which will be good for stopping his factories getting too quickly overwhelmed. He's also grabbing some of these mexes. Poor Johnny is not out of the hot water yet, though, because Signal has followed up his drop with a Jester. That is 2 mexes taken out, and it's certainly going to be a third. Where's the air response from South Team? 3 mexes and an NG. This Jester is really doing well. 2 NGs. There's going to be another mex going down in a minute unless we see an air response. Where is it? Meanwhile, up on the North Island, we've seen that Rasco has managed to get his first factory up, but Twitchy has come in by air, and he's got 4 NGs on the land. However, he's going out and getting the mexes first. I would have put up a factory first, I think. He's not alone, though. His ally Johnny has brought a transport as well. Is he landing? He's not landing. And Rasco's factory is up first, and that might be a problem for Twitchy. Rasco going straight into tanks, and he's already working on the second factory, and they know he's here thanks to Johnny's scout. Johnny, however, is dropping the mexes up on these little plateaus. Just a turret here, 2 turrets here for Twitchy. He doesn't seem to be planning any sort of factory. But we'll check back on it later. Johnny's eco is just being torn apart here. Johnny has the lowest eco of any player in the game at the moment, and now we see an Inti coming in from Johnny. But the Jester is not finished yet. Look at this. This Jester has got a big bunch of kills, but finally it is shot down. Still, look at that. 4 mexes and a big bunch of NGs. Great work from Signal. Back to the fight on the island in the south. Yu is almost finished with this PD, but there's Arty coming out for Bannabel, and that will be a good counter to the PD. Yu needs to get tanks out to fight the Arty, but he already is. But there's 4 factories for North Team, thanks to Angel's contribution, and only 2 down here for Yu. Yu is dodging his tank about, but it looks like Bannabel's just got more tanks for now. The RT is under fire. Meanwhile, oh how deliciously cheeky, Weckethr has dropped NGs on the hill just above Rasco's main base. And that's a full load of NGs, 6 NGs, and the factories are going up like anything. And we've just got Spartan going in like a mad lad here, completely naked. I think he's going to try... Oh, that's a mistake. I think he should be going up and trying to reclaim the naval yard and not trying to reclaim the frigate, because the frigate A has a load of hit points and it's harder to reclaim than the naval yard, and B can just move away, and that's given these NGs the chance to put up this torpedo launcher. I think Spartan's going to be forced just to fall back here, and that's unfortunate for him. Back to the island in the south, where Bannabel has brought a frigate around and is just going to bombard Yu's production from the sea as well. This doesn't look too great for poor old Yu, and Angel is now producing from 3 factories, Bannabel from 2. The turret is down to the RT, of which there's now quite a bit. And although Yu is desperately putting up more factories both here and here, I don't know if it's going to survive. However, Yu is bringing his commander in person to fight for the island, and that might make all the difference. It's going to be in a nick of time, as these factories are looking likely to fall to the artillery. In comes Yu's commander. And he is absolutely going to town. And I don't know... Yeah, Rasko must surely be aware of it by now. He's massing tanks to come out and deal with it. But this is a lot of production that Weckethr has got planned. He's got a radar system up to cover his tracks. I think he should cap this turret with wars. But other than that, this is looking pretty good. And he's already got 2 land factories up. Make that 3. There's only 2 land factories here for Rasko, who is forced desperately into another land factory, but by then there'll be 4 up for Weckethr. The sonar going down is a nice touch, just being picked up by this one arty. I do think Weckethr will have to mix a few more tanks into the mix now that he's been seen, because he now has tanks coming out to counter him and tanks counter arty. But it's looking good. Meanwhile, just off Yule's main island, Signal has been loving his engineer drops, and look at this one. He just lands 4 engineers at Yule's naval yards and just reclaims it straight up. Yule has got engineers coming in to make a counter reclaim, but Signal is quick on his feet and he's winning the reclaim battle. In fact, I don't think you even knew about that because he didn't start the reclaim. He just lost a bunch of engineers, sucked straight up by these cheeky chappies from Signal, and as if that weren't cheeky enough, he's coming in and trying to reclaim the second naval yard. However, this time Yule has absolutely noticed, and the reclaim war begins in earnest. But Signal might have had a chance, but Hyper has brought in a frigate, and that is going to pick up the remaining engineers. Lovely drop though from Signal. Back to the southern island, where the last bits of production here for you are being cleared up by Bannable's tanks, Angel's tanks, Bannable's frigate and Bannable's bomber. And Yule's looking quite exposed. He's all alone here as he brings the fight. The tanks, however, from the northern team were all swarming down here, taking out the production. Is Yule just going to be forced back into the water? Is he going to lose this island? He does pick up some of the engineers, but with these frigates around, could there be subs as well? He doesn't know. Well, he probably does know, to be honest. Is the water safe? He's under a lot of fire, but a comm can take about 20 tanks. However, there's soon going to be a lot more than 20 tanks here, as well as that frigate. He's into the yellow, he's falling back towards the water, and Yule retreats into the water on about half health. He does have NGs dropping in, but I think they might only be going to pick up mexes, so it looks like the South Island has fallen to northern team. Back up to Weckethr on the island. The island? The hill. This is not this is like the least islandy of all the islands. A bomber comes in to defend from RyGuys, taking out a bunch of, in fact multiple bombers, taking out a bunch of Weckethr's engineers. But by now, the base is in place. There's 4 factories here, and they're all pumping tanks out onto RyGuys Island. 2 factories, 2 mexes already down. 2 mexes not only down, but taken by Weckethr. And he's going to have to do something about the bombers. Otherwise, they will just slowly clean all this up. But the pressure is still on. Rasko. Meanwhile, up on the northern island, we have Rasko coming in, and he's going to take on these turrets from Twitchy. He hasn't got the gun upgrade though, so 2 turrets fully capped with wars might be a little difficult for Rasko to take on. Bombers from Twitchy helping out, but the anti-air should soon deal with them. Is Rasko going to be able to take over this island? Well, he's doing the right thing about the turrets. He's just bringing up mobile artillery to take them out. We do have this factory though is idle for Twitchy, and this factory is producing artillery, and that I think is the wrong choice on all accounts, because what Twitchy needs if he wants to keep this island is tanks rather than artillery. Artillery is too easy to counter with tanks, and certainly with a comm, and that's exactly what Rescue is doing. And a quick overcharge, if he has one available, would take out this turret in a moment, though if he doesn't have one available, the RT will do the job. And I think that the Northern Island, except perhaps from the two little eyes up here, is this like a little frog face here? Frog's got an eye and an eye. See, it's a little face. I think that's more of a frog's head. Anyway, so the mouth is in the wrong place. Anyway, yeah, here comes Rasco, and with his artillery, he's going to have no trouble taking out these factories. Fun fact, if you don't have gun, it's actually quicker to reclaim a T1 land factory with your comm than it is to shoot it, so he should be reclaiming. Anyway, Rasco takes control of the Northern Island. More bombers in from RyGuys, taking out one of the mexes that Weckethr has stolen. And now there's anti-air coming out into the mix, which will deal with the bombers in time. And there's still all these factories up. This is looking great for Weckethr. And there's an attempt by the South team to threaten it from the sea, but these factories are out of range of the frigates. And the army for Weckethr is just getting bigger and bigger here. How can Rasco stop it? I did wonder if you were going to be massing a navy or something while this was going on, but he isn't. He's only got one naval yard here. Oh no, I take that back. He has got another one over here, but it's still going to be a problem for him to be able to take out all the stuff on this island, and his NGs have just been met by frigates from Bannable. However, Yu's expansion island is also at risk as signalrunner drops. Okay, he's dropping NGs to grab the mechs first. Where's he going though? Yeah, he's coming on in. He's going to drop the island, so he gets that mechs we can see there at the top. But he is going to land on this island. Straight to a point defense. I like that. We saw that before when he was dropping Johnny. And unless you notices that, which I don't think he has, as this is still producing engineers. Yeah, he's not going to be in for a good time when this turret goes down, which it does, quickly popping the engineer. And this already belongs to Signal. However, Johnny is coming in on a transport. Is he going to save the day? No, he's not. He's just going to ignore this this drop in Yu's base, and he's going to land here and build some navy. But no, that's Seraphim Naval Yard. So this is just shooting things up without any opposition, as Signal is just going to take Yu's expansion island. Okay, Johnny has seen what's going on, and he's bringing his commander back, and I think that's the right thing to do. Back up to Weckethr, who has, as we remember, has hit dropped on Rasco's Hill, and this army is actually getting quite big for Weckethr, and now he's got a decent amount of anti-air in the mix. The bombers from RyGuys are just dying before they can get any real work done. They've nearly killed one of the 4 factories, but that's still 4 factories producing. And it doesn't feel like Rasco is producing enough to stop this push. That's the 3rd mechs he's lost on his sort of main area, as well as these 2 up here. And this one that was destroyed by the bombers from RyGuys, Weckethr is just rebuilding, which is very nice. And of course, Weckethr is Eon, his T1 spam can float. So these 3 mechs up here from for Rasco are completely vulnerable to the Aurora spam. And this is really gonna hurt the eco for Rasco, he's already been reduced to the lowest eco of any player in the game. However, RyGuys has come in person to help out, and this comm should be more than enough to deal with a few tanks. However, crossing the water and retaking these mexes is going to be a little bit of a problem, because there's no hover spam for I've forgotten his name, Rasco. However, he's bringing in enough units here, I think, that he'll be able to stop this up before they take out another mex. Johnny heading up onto the land. Signaler did have a couple of subs here, but we saw you clearing them up. We've got these subs from Bannable also causing a few problems, but Hyper is bringing in his navy to help out. Meanwhile, Johnny is coming up onto the land, and now I think he's going to be... There is still this engineer down here. Yu is also coming in. He's deep into the yellow after walking through these submarine-infested waters. But a comm will be to point defense, give or take, and with T2 on the comm, meaning he's got extra health and regen, it's going to be no problem for Johnny to take it out. This NG could be just irritating for you if it hangs around, but I'm not too fussed about that if I were in Yu's shoes. Besides which, it's a Cybran NG, this top bomber can deal with it, and it does. So, a nicely distracting drop from Signaler here. RyGuys coming in. T1 point defenses are going up, but Weckethr hasn't got a template to build capped T1 point defenses by the looks of things, or if he has, he's not using it. And so I don't really like that choice from Weckethr. However, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mexes denied and 2 more not only denied but taken, this swing is going really in the favour of South Team. And RyGuys is just standing here because what can he do against all these point defences? He's waiting for the army from Rasco to join him, and with the army I think that he will be able to push in and get the work done, but Weckethr is not going to make it easy. RyGuys sends in more bombers, but look how much anti-air there is around here. There's also actual anti-air turrets as well as the tanks. However, the amount of anti-air does mean there's not as much actual units on the field as Weckethr might like, and so the artillery from Rasco is doing a good job. However, it's standing still, and this one piece of artillery from Weckethr is doing amazing work, picking off the string of artillery coming in from Rasco. Look at this, this has 2 vets already, this one piece of artillery. And RyGuys, he could probably push in now, though he's not feeling confident. There we go, RyGuys is beginning to make a move. And in comes RyGuys on the hill of Rasco, ready to clean up this drop at last. What a thorn in Rasco's side this has been, but it's finally going to be taken out. And they've been paused. Weckethr knows that there's no point wasting more eco down here. Still, marvellous work from Weckethr with that drop. Let's zoom out and take a brief overview of what's been going on in all this time. Now, North Team does actually have the eco lead despite this damage they took here, and we can see why that is. The South Island belongs to North Team. The North Island, with the exception of these couple of mexes up on the hills, belongs to South Team. And these mexes, including this upgrading one, this is going to be a big investment lost for Johnny, because these arties, I think, can range it, and the arties from Rasco are just shooting up the hill. Look at that, 90% T2 mex taken out by these arties, and it looks like he plans to do exactly the same thing up here, although there are some arties defending from Johnny. But we have bombers from Twitchy on the way. I was going to go and look away from this island, but I think that I need to look back here because Twitchy has a wave of bombers coming to try and take out this island, and I do see an anti-air tank on the island. No, I see two. But maybe Twitchy will get some work done with these bombers before all the anti-airs shoot them down. And it looks like he's targeting the mexes. There's going to be a couple of mexes lost here for Rasco. 1, 2, 3 mexes taken out. Might be a fourth before the bombs get shot down. Yeah, a fourth and a fifth. And the bombers are now low on health. They're going to be taken out. But that's great clear up from Twitchy. However, Johnny has lost 2 T2 mexes up here. Why is his HQ here? Well, he's also going to lose that. That might be a problem for Johnny. Ooh, and here we have quite a big naval fight brewing, and Spartan has torpedo and nano, so Spartan really planning to get stuck in with his comm in the naval engagement, and obviously most people at T2 Navy by now. We have a T2 Navy here from Llama, but both Twitchy and Spartan have T2 Navies, and on top of that, Spartan has his nano torpedo comm. He ought to go for gun as well, because that does increase the range on the torp comm. But the fight is taken. Is he going to be able to push Llama back? Rasco thinks he has something to say about it and is coming in with some destroyers. But Twitchy has his destroyers here too, and if Twitchy can bring this navy across... He isn't planning to though, he's planning to go up here. I think he should bring it across to help out Spartan. But Spartan's torpedo is opening fire. He's gonna maybe get some work done with it. And indeed he does, claiming a few hit points of damage on some of those ships. And I think that we may be in for seeing Llama being forced back despite the help from Rasco. And Spartan can just keep on pushing forward with his torpedo comm. With his comm here, he has the build power to put up a factory here and grab this reclaim, which I think he should, because look, there's I would say there's 4,000 mass just waiting to be hoovered up there. And Spartan is definitely in control of it right now, and indeed he is. Look at that, he is going straight to build a factory. That's a good choice from Spartan. There were shield boats out now for Llama, but the bombardment from Spartan is probably going to break through that pretty soon. Meanwhile, another bomber raid goes for the northern island from Twitchy. There's now a lot more T1AA there, and I don't think the raid's going to get half as much done. It does seem to have picked up another mech though. I think that had been rebuilt, but not so much value there for Twitchy. Spartan still going for the bombardment here, but now we've got naval movement in the south as well, and this is quite a big navy from Bannable versus a reasonably sized navy from Hyper and from you. Are things going to go down? And I think we'd better start watching the two separate streams. So, Johnny is getting his reclaim factory up, and indeed he's got NGs coming out. But Llama is not alone. We have Signal bringing in a stealth boat, a cruiser and a destroyer to help out. And there are also these destroyers from Rasco up here, though they do have to worry about Twitchy's navy messing around off their coast. Are we going to see any actual pressure from Spartan? Well, his comm, of course, has an engineering suite and is eating up these delicious destroyer wrecks. But he's going to... I think he should be using that torpedo. And here comes Llama on the advance. Is Spartan going to respond? Forward he comes with his torpedo. Meanwhile, down in the south, you just have this cruiser taking out the emplacements on the southern island, but he's got to watch out because Bannable has a big navy coming down here. You has his own destroyers coming in, and Hyper has a navy not too far away as well, which might be able to help out, but there goes Yu's cruiser, and he hasn't got much else here to defend yet. Johnny's got a lot of T1 production, but Johnny's comm here has got to be a little bit scared, because this is a big navy with a lot of torpedoes and a lot of direct firepower as well. And this could be a problem for South Team. Bannable will definitely be able to rebuild on this island with this navy to defend it. Back to Spartan, who is really getting stuck in here. There are torpedo boats and destroyers, so he's got to watch out. And he has taken a few hits, but his nano and stealth will really help him soak up the damage. I don't know if these Riptides are great, but I don't think they're going to do too well when there's this many destroyers and Cybran cruisers about. Cybran cruisers best direct fire of all the cruisers, so they make up for it, as it were, or anti-make up for it, by not having any missiles or anything like that. Anyway, Twitchy has brought his destroyers in to help, and I think the naval battle might actually be going South Team's way, though it's not easy to tell. There's more destroyers coming in from Signal all the time, but there's also more units coming in from Spartan. Twitchy bringing air cover to help out. But I think that Spartan might be able to push North Team back, and that means he's going to have even more reclaim for this engineer factory to suck up. Alright, back to the south, where Bannable has been pressuring production for Johnny, and Johnny's got this T2 torpedo launcher up, but you've heard me gripe about T2 torpedo launchers a lot. I think they're a bit useless because destroyers outrange them. And so Bannable can just smack these at range. However, Yu's navy is coming in to help out, and Yu has built a decent sized navy here. However, this is a lot of submarines from Bannable, and this will carve through the naval HQ here belonging to Johnny pretty quickly, especially if any more of the navy helps out. But Bannable's navy, to be fair, is taken up because Yu has brought in quite a significant force. And I think he might actually have enough to clear a way through these units from Bannable. So nice work from Yu in defense. Back to the naval fight with Spartan, and we have a wave of torpedo bombers coming out from Llama. So the defense is airborne now for North Team, and just as well as they're running low on ships. And Seraphim destroyers don't have any anti-air at all because they're also partially sub-hunters. And they are taking damage from these torpedo bombers, but Spartan brings in a cruiser and Weckethr brings in his ASFs. We do have a few ASFs from RyGuys coming in, but is he going to fully take the air fight? He might be going to commit, and I don't know whether he's in a position actually to do that. Back to Yu, who's cleared up a lot of Bannable's navy, but Bannable has brought in a Neptune. I think Angel has given that to him, because of course Bannable is Eon and this is UEF Tech. I think that comes from Angel, but that's going to really turn the tide in North Team's favour, this Neptune. That said, Yu is going to be able to bombard this island with Salems, which at the moment South Team doesn't really have an answer to. But as the navy for Bannable masses up again with the Neptune in support, the rest of Yu's navy, I think, is going to be driven back. And so it is. Yu's managed to save Johnny's T2 HQ just about. However, Bannable is moving on around, and I think he might be going to pressure Yu's main naval production. Looks like Twitchy has another trick up his sleeve. He's now coming onto the island in the north, which Rasco took off him, with a big bunch of Zoes, which have just snuck across the water using their cheeky floaty powers. And this is actually quite a significant number of Zoes. However, Rasco has seen, and is going to respond. Spartan, again, is trying to deal with the fight, and Twitchy has also brought in some hover flak to help against the torpedo bombers. However, that hover flak is going to be toast soon if these destroyers continue their bombardment, and we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 destroyers from North Team lined up against the South Team, which is going to be quite a lot for this lot to deal with, although we don't forget we do have this torpedo nano comm from Spartan helping out, and Signal's destroyers are sitting back. This could be a mistake, because it means that Llama on his own is outgunned and outnumbered. Alright, back to Bannable, who now has 2 Neptunes. Angel is really feeding him the good stuff here, and that might be enough to break Yu's production. Up here on the North Island we have hot Zoe on Zoe action. And it's actually managed to kill only a few mixes here, actually. There's not much damage being done. I think this would mainly be a successful defense from Rasco. Okay, I take that back. 4 mixes. That's quite... No, 5 mixes? Okay, I take that back. That raid from Twitchy is actually going to get decent damage done, though it's going to get picked off before it gets... Nope. It only left 2 mixes on the island. Nice work. Now Signal's bringing in his units, but Llama's lost a lot, and Spartan's comm is really really taking the fight here. However, it seems as if the pressure is easing off, and Spartan is backing away. Intense naval action though, and he's lost his naval yard, so who's going to get this reclaim? Neptunes are... They're almost like the Titans or Loyalists of the water, in that they're T3 units which are really good at clearing up any lower tech units on the water that they come up against. And you can see that despite being submerged here, we're under the water, and Yu is losing his destroyers pretty fast, and as soon as Hyper sends in to say them, that just gets carved apart by the Neptune fire. And to be fair, Bannable is losing units as both Hyper and Yu are defending, but these 2 Neptunes are really bringing the damage, and they can afford to just pick apart these engines. And I think Yu might actually be about to lose his naval HQ. Yu's comm is here and could be in danger, and down goes the HQ. This is gonna be painful. Now Yu does actually still have 2 destroyers left, and look how much of this island they've cleared. They've basically knocked Bannable and Angel off this island. Oh no, 3 destroyers. All of them are left, and this one's going to take up this naval yard. Amazing work. However, Yu is not happy about the pressure from Bannable here, and Yu just straight up resigns, because Bannable's Neptunes have been coming in and applying the pressure they took out his naval yard we saw before. Yu is feeling a little bit salty as his island is inherited by Weckethr, but look how flat this island is. Those Neptunes will be able to use their beam weapons to do things like that. Normally Neptunes are not good for shore bombardment, but when the shore is this flat, they're going to be able to get a lot of damage done here. Spartan, Signal, Llama, Rasco, Twitchy, all of them are having a huge slugfest in the middle here. Spartan's comm is still up front with his torpedoes, with his nano. And it feels like he's got the biggest navy out of anyone here. But Twitchy really, I think, needs to commit these forces in order to get the naval win here. So, the big question for South Team right now has to be, what are they going to do about Bannable's navy? Yu's starting island here. He's got this island and this island that Weckethr has inherited from Yu. But there's a lot of pressure here, and as we mentioned, these Neptunes can just smack all the mexes essentially for free. Hyper does have a couple of destroyers coming in to help out, and he's got more coming in all the time. But there's gonna be a problem here, because you know what beats destroyers? 1, more destroyers, and 2, also Neptunes. And Weckethr is going to lose a lot of the eco here inherited. Look at all these mexes going down to the Neptunes in record time. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's 10 mexes there he's losing. However, the Neptunes turn around and look at the health just fall off those Salems. They're just getting shredded. Back to Frog Island, where we have yet another bomber raid coming in from Twitchy. He's been very keen on these as a means of suppressing Rasco on this island. But Rasco's got a decent amount of anti-air, and while they are doing damage, I can't deny that. See, they're taking out mexes. These mexes are mainly only T1, some upgrading. So there is some eco being lost here for Rasco. I really don't know if these bombers are actually paying for themselves. However, Twitchy seems to think they are, and he's higher rated than I am. So it could be that they're going to do all the damage. And actually, there's not so much anti-air left here now. These bombers are getting a decent amount of work done and killing quite a lot of the NGs on the island. And again, loads of the mexes cleared up for Twitchy. Rasco having eco issues. Spartan thinking maybe of falling back a bit. He has still got engineers coming in to get the reclaim, which is good, but his TwitchyMofo is up front doing the damage. And don't forget, he's got stealth. Can the other team actually... No, look, they can't see him here, so they can't shoot at him. That is good positioning from Spartan. A wave of torpedo bombers overhead from RyGuys. In fact, quite a decent number of torpedo bombers here, but there are cruisers in the mix from Twitchy, which will be able to help out. However, damage has been done, and Spartan's looking a little bit more lonely up here. Twitchy's destroyers now doing the bulk of the work in mid, while Spartan is still... I mean, he's got 3 vets on his comm now. He's killed 4,000 mass, which is good work. He will have to be careful against this horde of destroyers, and suddenly where's Twitchy gone? And these Exodus destroyers from Bannable were there just applying pressure onto what used to be Yu's base, but this could be a much bigger pickup. This is Hyper's HQ, and he is building a battleship here. If Bannable can come in with his Destros or even the Neptunes again, as he is, why did I feel the need to draw that line? It's pretty obvious where they're coming in. Anyway, if he can come in and deny this battleship and deny Hyper's navy, because yeah, look, he's got no HQ up here. This is his only HQ. This could be a big one. I think Spartan might be being forced back. He has got his navy messing up here, but most of this is frigates. There's 1 Destro there, and there's more destroyers here for the northern team. The frigates are being popped apart at range. And this doesn't feel good for Spartan. He's retreating. Bannable focusing the HQ for Hyper, but the battleship does come out. However, it's been taking fire while it's under construction from the destroyers, and Seraphim Eon destroyers at close range, thanks to their depth charges. The Eon destroyers do the most torpedo damage, though less at longer range than other torpedo boats, like these, in fact, like these sub-hunters coming in to help out from Johnny. But the battleship is down, and to be honest, with these Neptunes here, I don't think the naval HQ is going to survive. despite the mess that Bannaber is making in the south for South Team, it's not all one way down there. Weckethr is using the Salems he's inherited from you, and he's pressuring Bannaber's expansion island here, and Bannaber's got nothing to stop him. And while that's going on, the island which the Salems cleared earlier, well, Johnny's just come here with his comm, and, well, I would say he's working to reclaim it, but what he's actually doing is, standing here having a cup of whatever Eon have in the place of Builder's tea. He's just standing there for a little bit. Oh well, we'll check back on him later. The Neptunes still pressuring the HQ. Bannaber's Neptunes being used to open fire on Hyper's production, and though Hyper is repairing and he's putting up T2 torpedo defense, he's doing everything he can. Down goes his naval HQ. No more naval tech for Hyper until he rebuilds it all. That is going to hurt. Speaking of Neptunes, do you know who else has Neptunes on the field? The answer is Llama. He's just got, I think, his first one out there. And that's gonna... No, it's not. He's already got one right here, and that is really going to add to the pressure on Spartan. Spartan under fire from a Neptune battle cruiser, and sure, his Torp nanocom is pretty nice. He's building a battleship of his own, and he's got a battleship of his own. But this could be quite a lot for him to deal with. And I don't know if he's really in a position to deal with it. Sure, battleships beat Neptunes, but that's a lot of destroyers from Sigler and a couple of destroyers from Llama helping out, and I don't think that Spartan's got the numbers. Quick check down here. Bannaber is pulling his navy back in the face of huge numbers of sub-hunters from Johnny, but back to Spartan defending against Llama. Llama's Neptune does go down, but this army from... Oh, and I'm not alone in thinking that this fleet from Sigler needs to move in. Sigler, however, disagrees. Sigler's moving down here. Not sure what the plan is there. So, for now, Spartan might just defend, though there is another Neptune coming in from Llama. Meanwhile, Twitchy's naval force sneaking around the top here was actually getting damage done to Rascal's eco, and I don't think... Remember he had all that huge, he hasn't really rebuilt from the raid and drop from, Weckethr yet, and what literally he had... Well, this is going to clear us up. Signal's navy is moving down to threaten Johnny's island. Nice positioning of the radar where the destroyers can't hit it. But Weckethr defends with a huge wave of torpedo bombers, sensibly going for the cruiser first. RyGuys comes in, trying to take out the torpedo bombers and cleans up most of them. However, he doesn't stick around for the air fight. Anyway, up to Spartan, and Spartan's under fire from torpedo bombers brought in by Llama. He does have a cruiser up. I don't know if it's going to be enough, despite his nano. Spartan is under pressure. The torpedoes fall on him, he tries to dodge, but that's not going to do much help against the homing torpedoes from Llama's bombers. Weckethr brings in air to defend, but it's too late. It's too late for Spartan, who explodes under the water. Our first real ejection, not counting Yu's resignation. And now, South Team are 2 players down. Gonna hurt. Rasco has actually managed to get some T3 Seraphim sub-hunters in, and they're threatening the T3 HQ from Twitchy, and that could be a good move from Rasco if he keeps the pressure up, but he's falling back. And Weckethr has an answer. Now, these actually have really great anti-air if they surface, but if they surface, then this battleship just shoots them. And so I think they're going to be taken out by the Torp bombers from Weckethr. And indeed they are. Meanwhile, look how much damage Twitchy's navy has done to Rascal's eco. He has actually smashed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 mexes. That is insane. And Rascal is down below 40 eco. We've already got RyGuys on 400. Weckethr, of course, he's inherited loads of bases. He's on 700 something. Rascal down below 40 eco, and he's about to lose another mech to this cruiser. This is absolutely brutal from Twitchy. Look at the damage that Rascal's taken. Meanwhile, while this has been going on, we've got a loaded nuke submarine out from Angel, and it's just creeping forward. Wonder where that's going to go. Johnny has a problem. Angel's got a Neptune battlecruiser which has tracked down Johnny in the corner, and I don't know if he's going to survive long. Back to the battle in the middle where Twitchy and Weckethr are consolidating together as Llama's Neptune is applying pressure. And Weckethr does have 2 battleships here, backed up by a decent amount of T2. And that should be able to hold out against the Neptune along with these sub-hunters. And there goes the nuke. And I see the ping here, it's going for Twitchy. I do not see any SMD for Twitchy. Is his comm going to be safe? I'm actually genuinely not sure. Where's it going? About here-ish? And let's just take a note. Twitchy has 230 eco at the moment. South team has a eco lead. Boom. The nuke hits, and suddenly Twitchy is 100 eco down. That is going to be painful. This is an awful lot of torpedo bombers, including a few no, but it's an awful lot of torpedo bombers, but we'll see where it goes in a little while. Johnny gets out of the water from these torpedo bombers with only 300 hit points remaining. He's dodging around, he's dodging further far, but furthers have a problem hitting mobile units like commanders, and Johnny is going to be microing like a madman. Is he going to survive? Meanwhile, Signal has gone naughty naughty, walkie walkie with this Cyber Destroyer. And it is going to town on the base that was originally used starting base. He continues to try to dodge the furthers, but I don't know how long it's going to be able to last. A few hits and that's going to be the problem for him. That Neptune is still around, and pop. Down goes Johnny, and now we are 6 against 3 on the South team. Back to Signal's Salem, and it's actually being eaten by engineers. There's also a battleship doing most of the damage, but I love the engineers just eating up that Salem. Good defense from Hyper. Well, that's where the torpedo bombers were going. The massive torpedo bomber raid from Weckethr takes out Rascal's Tier 3 Naval HQ. Although one has to ask, with all the eco damage we just saw him taking on the North Island in here, could he have afforded the T3 Navy anyway? Meanwhile, though, we have a huge amount of pressure from Bannable on the southern islands. Those are Solaces, the Eon Tech 3 torpedo bombers from the newer players. Eon are the only race who get Tech 3 torpedo bombers, and they've just taken half the hits of this battleship in one pass. But with multiple battleships, Neptunes and cruisers hanging out here for Bannable and Angel, and look, Bannable's already just taking this island. This was originally used expansion island. South team are having problems down here. Where's that nuke coming from? That nuke is coming out from Weckethr, and it looks like it's headed for Bannable. Yes, it is. It's headed for Bannable, and Bannable started work on a strategic missile defense, but it's not even finished, let alone loaded. However, the pressure is real down here. Bannable needs to move these guys in, and though this is quite a lot of battleships for Hyper, maybe Bannable doesn't think he has enough. Maybe he actually doesn't have enough. Here's Hyper's new HQ, though it is actually under pressure from some sneaky stealth sub-hunters from Signal. However, we really have to go and look at Bannable's island, because there's his comm standing right there. And there's the nuke. Kaboom! That is the highest rated player for the northern team, taken out in nuclear fire, and suddenly matters are looking a bit more even somehow. We also have a naval push in mid from Weckethr. He's inherited a decent bunch of these battleships here from Spartan, and he's producing more all the time. Hyper's battleships are engaging those that used to belong to Bannable and have now been inherited by Rasco. And we have this is actually only a T2 naval push here coming forward, but this is a lot of torpedo bombers. Where were they heading? Based on past behaviour, I'm going to place a bet they're going for one of these two naval HQs. Rasco's rebuilt his, Llama's got his here. Yeah, look at that. And we're going to get the air fight, which I think RyGuys is actually going to win here. Yeah, RyGuys is cleaning up the ASF from Weckethr. But while that's been happening, Weckethr's torpedo bombers are getting through, and sure, they're all falling out of the sky. But the HQ for Llama is going to be taken out, and there's no more tech coming out until Llama can repair that we can see here. He has actually started work on an Atlantis. Angel is having trouble, I think, spending the eco. Yes, he is. He is massively overloaded. He's having trouble spending the eco that he inherited, and this is something that should make all my loyal viewers cringe. This is 8 mexes. 8, which are T2, not capped, being upgraded to T3. 8 uncapped mexes being upgraded. That is one of the most horrifically inefficient uses of mass you will ever hear of. However, down here, Hyper's battleships are engaging with the navy belonging to that used to belong to Bannable and is now engaging and is now belonging to Angel. Hyper's got a lot of battleships here, and he might actually be able to take it, but there's nothing really to stop these subs. However, I say that the subs are only T1, and Cyber battleships do come with torpedoes. So that might actually do the work. However, Hyper is feeling like he has to move back. Maybe he can't take the pressure. These sources from Weckethr could really do something to help out. And they do, coming in on the Neptunes. They're really going to start clearing up this southern navy unless Angel can do something about it. Meanwhile, Llama is very much on the back foot as Weckethr has brought in a vast wave of battleships, and we saw him lose his HQ here. He's working frenzy on Atlantis, but that's nowhere near being finished. And so this Neptune is his last T3 naval unit for a while, and that is not going to be around for long. Pop. Down it goes. Weckethr is able to just push in here, and there is very little to stop him. Llama might be in quite a lot of trouble unless he can find a very quick answer indeed. Angel doesn't really have much of an answer to these sources. There is a cruiser here and another one coming out now from Signal, but if the sources change their focus to the cruisers, as they really should, the cruisers won't last very long at all, and I think that might just be what is happening here. Yeah, look at that. Down go a lot of the cruisers. And RyGuys is choosing not to take the air fight. However, we've got to look up here.
Strategic launch detected.
Well, who's that nuking? That's, we can see on the mini-map, that is Weckethr again, and we'll go and see where it lands very shortly, but this pressure from Weckethr's navy is looking very good indeed. Oh, and this is where the nuke is going, isn't it? Look, there were 2 comms just standing here, just randomly out and about doing nothing, and that could be a little bit of a problem for them, because I think one of them might be the target of this nuke, judging by its direction. There's the Atlantis out from Llama, and that might cause a few problems for Weckethr's navy, but this This nuke, where's it going to go? Who's it going to hit? Let's get them both in shot and see who it's going to hit. Oh, wow. Okay, okay. Let me tell you who it's going to hit. Both of them. That's going to bring some of the... That's going to bring it back into line in terms of player count. We're back to 3v3, and I think that that is marvellous. Most unreservedly, ridiculously undeserved snipe I've seen for a long time. So we've got the Atlantis here out for Llama. And has he actually rebuilt his HQ yet? No, he hasn't. So he's just got an Atlantis and a bunch of frigates. And Weckethr is wisely almost ignoring the Atlantis. He's going south to join the Hyper in engaging Signal Navy. And Signal is losing his navy, and that looks like Tech 3 artillery fire coming in as well. Huh, wonder how what's working there. That looks a little bit odd, like these engineers, which are still spending mass, working on a sinking wreck. Over here, the Atlantis has been taken out by a combination of ground fire and torpedoes. Things are not looking good suddenly for the North team, although as we speak, RyGuys finishes another Atlantis. Meanwhile, Hyper is going laser. He's got gun, he's going laser, and he will no doubt be going teleporter. Here we've got stealth SCUs, which I think RyGuys originally built. They were trying to build harms. That's 2 weeks in a row we've seen SCUs with unusual preset upgrades. Last week it was anti-air, now it's stealth. But they're not getting any real work done. Over here, Hyper is moving on and also pressuring Angel's production as well as Signal's, but Angel is about to finish a Tempest. And that could change the tide of battle here. We also have to note that Angel is working on a naval in his base, and it looks like it's been seen, and so is his comm. The Tempest is going to work. Now a bit further north, the bases of both Llama and Signal are under threat as Weckethr's increasingly huge horde of battleships is advancing on them. There's a few torp bombers out from Llama, and there's these artillery pieces, but it doesn't feel like it's enough. And mexes are beginning to go down for both Signal and for Llama. All these battleships from Hyper might be all well and good, but against this Tempest, are they going to survive? There's also 3 battleships from signalrunner, and Cybern's the only race, for those of you who don't know, who get T3 torpedo defense, these underwater harms torpedo ambushing systems. Look at that. Hyper's battleships are just carved apart, as Angel also brings in these battleships from the south to join his Tempest. Good work from Angel. Back to Weckethr's bombardment, and Llama is desperately putting up artillery here. Signal's point defenses are actually in range, and they're doing damage to this battleship. Cerberus tickling a battleship to death. Who would have thought it? We saw Llama finish that next Atlantis, but it is under a lot of pressure. We have multiple T3 Ceres sub-hunters out from Twitchy, and despite the Atlantis' significant torpedo firepower, that might not be enough to hold the line here. And the Atlantis is taking hits, but there's only a few sub-hunters left, more coming in, but it might actually hold. Who can say? Well, I say that, but we will soon be able to say, because the Atlantis is down into the red. Weckethr has brought in a huge flight of Sauruses all around the top, and there are ASFs, but not enough to stop them. They're going for the underwater mexes, but they have seen the comm. signalrunner's comm is under threat, and with this many sources, despite the ASF, there's no way he's going to survive. Boom! Signalrunner is sniped out by a flight of T3 torpedo bombers from Weckethr, and that has got to hurt. And look at this, Twitch is already coming in and just eating up the reclaim with these engineers, and the first Atlantis, the second, Atlantis for Llama goes down, but as we speak, he's on track to finish another, which is almost done, but it's already taking hits. Is it actually going to finish? Yes, it is, but it finishes on half health. There goes Signal that we saw just a second ago being torpedo sniped. I do not think that this Atlantis is going to survive. No, my loyal viewers, it does not. Angel's brought a horde of sub-hunters in here, but against this many battleships it feels like pissing into a storm. Llama's brought a fatty out, which is quite interesting, and he'll need it against those bricks we mentioned earlier, but I think he's about to lose quite a lot of his grill to the bricks, and this is going to be very painful indeed. Pop, yes it is. That's basically all of his eco now gone to the various forms of attack. And the sub-hunters are chasing the battleships back a bit. What else have we got going on? Well, we've got a nuke going out, and we've got a nuke going for Cygnus base. Ah, but there's a ping, because this is where Hyper, we mentioned he was going telemaser earlier, well, Hyper is beaming in. Many years ago now I mentioned that Hyper was famous for telemaser, and it looks like old habits die hard, because out he comes, coming straight for Angel. Angel's shield comes up in the nick of time, and Hyper is walking into point defenses, but I think Angel might be just out at pop. That was the loudest pop I've made for a while. Anyway, down goes Angel, and meanwhile the nuke hits Signal's old base. Also boom. Llama is the last player left on the northern team, and he inherits, and look at this. Hyper is just, sauntering around with his monkey laser, shooting up what's left of Angel's base. And he does begin the beam out, and it looks like he's beaming to safer territories. There are now 2 Tempests from Angel, and a huge horde of battleships, and in combination with the Tempests, that might actually be enough to deal with this vast army, and this is a huge naval battle going down. Cinematic shot of that, because that deserves it. Look at that. In fact, I can barely get it all in shot with the 2 Tempests there. And the vast wave of battleships from Weckethr. The Tempest are being focused, I think, and this Tempest is actually going to go down, I believe. Yes, it is, if these strats come for it. Boom, 1 Tempest down. Weckethr might be going to win this little fight here. But he's losing battleships to the Tempest. However, I just saw a Hyper beaming, and Hyper has beamed onto Llama's comm, who's putting up defenses. Llama's under the water, but Hyper is ground firing. And with Weckethr's bricks also surrounding him with torpedoes, I don't think Llama is gonna get out of this one alive. He's trying, but he pops out of the water, and the monkey laser opens fire, and RedhairyLlama goes down. A victory for South Team. Fantastic game. Halfway through that game, with you having resigned, Twitchy nuked, Spartan driven back to his own production lines and destroyed, I thought there was no hope for South Team. But what a comeback. Tell me what you thought in the comments below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, subscribe and obey. I'm TheCommissar. I will see you next time.